Welcome to the Books Between Friends podcast.
3 lifelong friends,
one shared obsession.
Books.
From epic fantasy to page-turning thrillers.
We dive into the stories we love
And the ones we just can't stop talking about.
So take a seat,
Grab a drink,
and get cozy.
All right, well, welcome back, book friends. How are we doing? How was your weekend? For me, let's see. The weekend was, we went to the movies and we saw something that I can't remember. What did we go see? We saw, I was telling Steph this the other day, we saw Disclosure Day.
Oh, right.
Okay.
With Emily Blunt, and she has her American accent, and I feel like it's not a spoiler because if you see the trailer, you can pretty much guess what it's about, but this is about aliens, and I feel like you need to know that going in if you did not have an idea of what it was about. I feel like you need to know that going into this, or else you're just going to be like, it's another alien movie.
Yeah.
But this one was really good. I think Emily Blunt has an immaculate performance in this role. And because it could be so easy to go really campy with content like this about aliens, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Good tension, good suspense, and it was just a good, a different take on kind of an action movie like this, where people are trying to find out the truth. So really good. I highly recommend.
Awesome.
I love Emily Blunt. She's actually my favorite actor. So
Yeah. No, I think she's great
I
in
love
everything
her.
she does. Yeah.
since The Devil Wears Prada, like the original, which I still need to see the second one. I really want to.
So
but,
do I.
Ever since then, she's been my favorite.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love her. So for me, I actually got to spend the weekend with Stephanie. I was there for basically 2 full days. Let's see. The first day
That's awesome.
we did a pool day. So we took our Kindles with us and we got no reading done because we talked the entire
Classic.
time.
I love it. You need that.
Yeah, we talked
Yeah.
the entire time. It was really great. And then afterwards, we went to go get tacos and watch the Argentina-Cape Verde game. And that was probably one of the best games that
It
we have
was so
seen in the World
good.
Cup so far. It was so
Yeah.
good. I was rooting for the underdog here. They were so close to knocking out Argentina. It was crazy.
Ugh.
They played a great game.
It
They
was
should be
so
proud of that.
It was so good. And then the next day we had brunch and we visited 3 different bookshops. So much fun. And then I asked Stephanie to take me to Hot Topic because I was influenced. I'm easily influenced. I was influenced by BookTok, watching other people go to Hot Topic to buy their Dungeon Crawler Carl shirts, and so I had to get a Princess Donut shirt, obviously.
Yeah, of
if
course.
you're watching
You
this
got to.
YouTube video.
Hi, Zev.
Hi, Zeb.
It's so cute. I loved it.
And we just had a great time, and we actually ended up seeing a FIFA store there, and so I went to go get a Mexico shirt because the Mexico versus England game was coming up that next day, and so of course I had to represent, right? But it was just a really great weekend. I left Stephanie's on Saturday a little later. And then on Sunday, I stayed at my brother's house. We watched the Mexico game. I got to just hang out with them, and I got to see my niece. And it was just a really great weekend.
It's so great. Love
I
that.
mean, I don't have much else to add because we spent the weekend together and had a great time, of course. But yeah, I ended up having a 3-day weekend from work, so that was nice. After Jen left on Sunday, I just spent the day at home reading, and then I went and got my nails done. And then I forgot what game was on. Was it Argentina that played that night?
No, it was Mexico versus England.
Oh, that's why I deleted that from my memory.
Yeah.
Out.
So close. It was so close.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
watched that on Sunday night. And yeah, I just had a nice chill evening at home. But we've watched a couple of movies recently at the movie theater. We saw Obsession, which was fantastic. If you haven't seen it
I want
yet,
to see
I
it.
think it might still have a few more showtimes. Definitely worth watching. It's so good. And then last night we actually watched Backrooms, which was also really good. I didn't know all the lore behind Backrooms from 4chan, and there's a whole YouTube series about it. So I went in blind. My husband already knew the lore from beforehand. And so either way, I feel like it's worth watching. It's interesting. I think it's billed as a horror movie, but I would call it more suspense. It wasn't that scary, to be honest. It was just kind of suspenseful and kind of weird.
Okay.
Cool.
Love it. I
Yeah.
feel like it's a good time to go to the movies right now.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really been. I do want to go see the new Spider-Man movie, and I definitely want to go see the new Odyssey movie too. They both look so good.
Okay.
We had
Tom
tickets
Holland
for the
has like a whole
Odyssey.
slew of movies coming out.
So does Zendaya. Like she has a ton of movies
Yep.
coming out too. Yeah.
Yeah, so Tom Holland has Spider-Man, he has the Odyssey, and then later this year is going to be Avengers. I'm fairly certain he's in that one. And so I don't know. But he has got those. And then yeah, Zendaya, you know, Dune's coming out later this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
So good.
I cannot wait.
I finally watched
All
the movies, by
right.
the way.
Yay.
Yeah, I watched the Dune movies. They were so good. I haven't read the books,
They're
but I watched
so
the
good.
movies. They were amazing.
I'll be honest, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think the movies are better than the books. Yes, I've read the books.
I have not.
That's valid.
Yeah, I have not. So I love the movie. So I cannot wait.
Book
till
one
the third
was great.
comes out.
It just kind of like doesn't really pick up from there,
Okay.
in my opinion.
All right. Well, we could talk about movies all day long because
Yeah.
one of my favorite places
Truly,
to go
yeah.
is the theater.
Yeah.
Same.
But we need to move it on over because we were talking about heated rivalry today, and boy, do things
Yay.
get heated. So before we jump in, we're going to go to our standard PSA, spoiler PSA. So I'm going to hand it on over to Steph.
That's right, you guys. Before we get started, just a quick spoiler warning. If you're listening to this episode, we're assuming from the prologue all the way through chapter 14 of Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reid, because there are going to be spoilers. So please, please, please make sure that you finish through chapter 14 before you listen to our discussion. And before we get started, just a quick call out. Please, if you are liking our little podcast and our book chats, please do us a huge favor and give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our little community grow and other book nerds find us. So we would love to hear your thoughts on our podcast. And if you write us a review, we would also love to shout you out on our next episode.
Yes, love those shout outs. All right. So like I said, we're jumping into Heated Rivalry today. And as we normally do, we're going to give our first impressions here. So I can get us started here. For me, honestly, I was wanting to enjoy this a lot more than I did right off the bat, because this starts out in such like a not nice place, not a good headspace for either one of our characters. Like this prologue where we get this kind of flash forward in time, or a present day maybe, and then as the book starts, it goes back in flashbacks. But I'm being in Shane's head for the beginning. I was like, we're hateful.
Yeah.
We're hateful. And he's like, I hate this guy, but you know, let's do it. And so,
Hence the
I don't-
title.
Heated.
true. I mean, I guess that's true, but we've got spice on ice here.
Yeah.
I read Game Changer last month and dove into this one pretty much right after that. Like I said, I did not enjoy the beginning of this book, and I feel like it's taken a while for me to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I can see where this is going. I'm invested. But it did take a little while for me to pick that up. I started liking Ilya sooner than I did Shane, and I could tell because Ilya, you know, there's a reason why he's so arrogant. There's a reason why he's so aloof and flippant. And so to get some of that towards the end of this half of the book, more of his backstory, I'm like, well, yes, that makes sense. And yes, it's endearing him to me. But Shane has a long way to go, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Shane's gone.
towards the end of this, I know. Towards the end of this section, he said there were two things that people thought about him that were like commonly held true among people that know him. I can't remember what the first one was, but the second was that he's no fun. And heard, he's no
Yeah.
fun.
Felt
He's a stick in the mud.
a little bit.
But that being said, I am nothing if not fair. So I will pleasantly look forward to the second half of this book to see if my opinion changes.
Wow, you guys are, man, it's Shane hating over here.
Not Shan.
I meant to say
Shan.
Shane.
I know.
Or should I say Jane?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jane and
Oh,
Lily.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I actually watched the show back when it came out and the hype was like all over BookTok.
Hmm.
And I would say that I actually loved the show, even though I had to push myself past episode 1 because the beginning was just kind of a bit much. I actually, I actually fell in love with Shane and Ilya. And now reading the book, like, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it took me a bit to get into it. I was
Mhm.
not loving the first few chapters. It felt super repetitive, and I was just worried that it wasn't gonna get better. But it's finally picking up, thank goodness, and I'm starting to enjoy the story. I'm just really glad because I didn't want to DNF it so early on. But I do
Yeah.
love the concept of them being rivals in public, but harboring like these secret feelings in private. It's so interesting seeing them like struggle with their feelings. I love how complete opposites they are as well. Like it just really adds for a more interesting plot, right? So let's see how it ends.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of the same feelings as both of you guys about the beginning. And also, one thing, my headphones like dropped off in the middle of you talking, Ethan. So I don't know if you already mentioned that like we almost DNF this book as a podcast because of the way that it was kind of not progressing in the
Mhm.
first part, and that's why we ended up switching up our schedule for this book a little bit. And I'm
Mhm.
glad that we stuck it out because I am happy to see that the plot is developing a little bit more after the first 9 chapters, which is what we were first going to discuss in this episode. So we can kind of see where things are going. I really just wanted to give this book a chance because of how big the show was. And I haven't seen the show yet, but I remember the hype and people still talk about how great the show was. And so I just felt that there had to be something in the book for it to be picked up as a show. Like it has to catch your attention somehow, some way. And, there has to be a reason why there's so much hype behind it. So I'm starting to see that now. So similar to you guys, it felt a little bit repetitive. I did read Game Changer around the same time that Ethan did, and I really enjoyed it. And so that maybe that's also a little bit of the reason why I wanted to like stick it out for Heated Rivalry, just because I really liked the story in Game Changer and, the way that that ended. And so I'm hoping for something similar here.
Yeah, I actually tried to read Game Changer with Ethan and Stephanie, but I think what ruined it for me was the audiobook.
I
So
know. Yeah.
I really should have just read it either on my Kindle or bought the physical copy because the audiobook, the narrator that they chose for this I guess series is just not great. And
Yeah.
that made me DNF it. Like I was just like, I cannot with this guy anymore. Like I cannot with the what is it, the Brooklyn accent for Kip. Like I just couldn't do
Yeah.
it. So if I ever give Game Changer a chance again, it's gonna have to be through the physical copy.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I would
fair.
agree. It took me some I listened to the audiobook as well, and like I just had to get over the narrator's voice for
I
Kip
couldn't.
too, because that accent was a little bit rough.
I kind of want to get the audiobook just because now.
You
Yeah,
just have to listen to the first few
just check it
chapters.
out. It's kind of funny. And then
I should
actually
just listen to the sample.
Yeah.
in the audiobook for Heated Rivalry, it's better. Like Ilya and Shane sound great in my opinion. But there's a female character that he does a voice for that is just it's so goofy. And I actually texted Jen about it and I was like, oof, good thing you're not doing the
Oof.
audiobook for this one too, because this voice is crazy.
I had to get the copy, you
No.
guys, because
Mhm.
I wasn't doing that to myself again.
Respect
Good
it.
call.
All right, so first impressions, check. Let's go ahead and go into a summary of what we've read so far. And then we're going to dive right on in. We have changed up our format, so we'll talk about that in just a bit. But here's the summary. Here's where things are. The novel opens in 2016 with one of hockey's fiercest rivalries, hence the title. Shane Hollander of the Montreal Voyageurs and Ilya Rozanov of the Boston Bears are locked in another intense matchup, with Ilya once again getting the better of Shane. To the rest of the world, they're bitter rivals who can't stand each other. But after the game. Rachel Reid completely flips that expectation on its head when Ilya secretly meets Shane at a private condo, revealing they've been carrying on a hidden relationship for years. From there, the story rewinds to 2008. Good gracious high school days, to show us how everything began. We first meet 17-year-old Ilya at the World Junior Championships, determined to prove he's better than Canada's golden boy, Shane Hollander. Their personalities clash immediately. Shane is disciplined and reserved, while Ilya is cocky, fearless, and seems to enjoy getting under Shane's skin. Boy, didn't he. Russia takes home the gold medal, kicking off a rivalry that only grows after they're drafted first and second overall in the NHL by Boston and Montreal. As the years pass, they can't seem to stop watching each other. Every tournament, every game, every award becomes another chance to compete. But beneath all of that competition is a growing attraction neither of them knows what to do with. A late-night encounter at the draft, lingering handshakes after international games, and a shared endorsement shoot in Toronto steadily build the tension until Ilya boldly gives Shane his hotel room number. Shane shows up, and what begins as a rivalry finally crosses a line neither of them expected. Even though Shane insists it can never happen again, it quickly becomes clear that neither of them can stay away. As they navigate their rookie NHL seasons, All-Star Weekend, and the constant pressure of being compared to one another, they begin meeting in secret, exchanging phone numbers under fake names, and finding increasingly creative ways to hide their relationship from teammates, the media, and the rest of the hockey world. But as the years go by, their relationship begins to deepen beyond stolen nights together. Shane creates a private condo in Montreal, where they can finally let their guards down, while Ilya gradually reveals a softer, more vulnerable side that almost no one else gets to see. The 2014 Sochi Olympics become a turning point as the weight of playing in Russia under intense public scrutiny and under the country's anti-LGBTQ+ climate leaves Ilya emotionally exhausted. For perhaps the first time, Shane sees beyond the confident, cocky persona Ilya presents to the world. By 2016, they're no longer just sneaking around, they're beginning to crave pieces of a normal relationship. Quiet nights together, homemade tuna melts, watching hockey on TV, the kinds of ordinary moments they can never have in public. At the same time, the walls they've built around themselves begins to crack, and starts recognizing that his feelings run much deeper than he'd admitted, while Ilya struggles with jealousy as the outside world continues to pair Shane with women and celebrate his picture-perfect public image. By the end of this section, the rivalry that began on the ice has transformed into something neither of them ever planned for. They're still competing every time the puck drops, but behind the headlines, trash talk, and highlight reels is a relationship built on years of secrets, longing, and growing affection. The biggest question now isn't whether they're attracted to each other, it's whether they can ever reconcile the lives they live in private with the ones the hockey world expects them to lead. All right. So, like I said, we've read the first half of the novel, so that was a longer summary than what we usually do. So now we're going to jump into some discussion, and usually we do a 3-2-1 structure where we talk about 3 things that stuck out, 2 character moments, and 1 prediction or theory we have going forward. This is a romance, different from our usual kind of epic fantasy that we do, so we're going to change up our structure a little bit, and we're going to do, each one of us is going to share a green flag moment, something that went well in the story, a red flag moment, something that didn't go so well, a quote that really stuck out to us that we love, who gets the MVP award for this section, and who deserves to go into the penalty box for this section. So, with that being said, Steph, do you want to kick us off here?
Sure. So, for my green flag this time around, I chose Ilya. And specifically when he got ginger ale and made the tuna melt for Shane towards the end of this section. I thought that was
really
so sweet. And he kept asking
That
him,
was
like,
sweet.
is it good? Do you like, is it cold enough? Like, why aren't you eating? I thought it was so sweet of him. He actually wanted to make him comfortable and provide him food that he likes. And Shane was so put off by it, but I think he just didn't expect, I don't know. We'll probably talk about this more throughout this discussion, but yeah, Shane I think is resisting a lot, whereas Ilya is just being such a sweetheart and honestly giving him a little more than he deserves, in my opinion.
We're reading the same book, but okay.
You said what you said.
Wow,
You said what
okay.
you said. I'm with you. But yeah, I did think the tuna melt was so sweet. It was like a really cute domestic house
Yeah.
moment where they're playing house, and it totally freaked Shane out.
Yeah.
But I love that moment. That was cute. And
That
he
was
was
really
just
cute
making
moment.
sure he had it right for him.
I mean, what do women first do when they like want to impress a guy? They cook for them, right?
Listen,
For the
I don't
most
cook.
part. For the most part. Or if the man wants to impress the woman, they cook for them. One of the two.
Yes.
It doesn't matter which gender.
I concur. My husband makes the best steak ever.
Ooh, that's nice.
But usually if I want to impress a man, I make my enchiladas because it's like the best meal I can make. So basically the only one of the best meals I can make.
I can concur with that too. You make some damn good enchiladas.
How have we been friends for so long and I've never had these
You
enchiladas?
have these enchiladas, Ethan, at my
What?
parents' house. But my mom has been the one to cook them for you.
They're the same one.
But you know what? Next time
I'm
we all
missing
hang out,
out.
I will make them for both of you.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so green flag. I thought that was a really great moment.
Yeah.
What about
Super
your red
cute.
flag?
Yeah, so my red flag for this time around is for Grigori, Ilya's dad.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
We only
Yes.
saw him for a little bit in chapter 10, but like, my God, this guy sucks. I
Yeah.
hate him.
Yeah.
Like, his son is one of the best players in the NHL, and all he wants to do is criticize him and tear him down. He's just such a jerk. So, yeah, I mean, we only saw him one time in chapter 10, but red flag for this guy.
Yeah.
He's the worst.
No, I
Mhm.
agree. That was a really intense scene, and I really felt for Ilya in that moment because I'm just like, he doesn't deserve to be talked to that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a turnaround from what we normally see of Ilya, where he's nothing can touch me. But then you see him in this scene, I'm like, oh, that's no
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of see where his like bravado comes from,
Mhm.
obviously it's kind of like a learned behavior or maybe like a defense mechanism. So, yeah. I hate his dad.
Yeah.
Actually, his whole family sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They're no good.
Okay, so my green flag moment came in chapter 14 in the club scene. So I was honestly just kind of giggling here because I love
Yeah.
a good jealous moment, y'all.
Yeah.
And this was serving
Those are
a
fun.
good jealous moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
So this was when Ilya saw Shane with Rose, and then Shane saw Ilya with some random girl, because after
Yeah.
Ilya saw Shane, he was like, well, fuck this. I can get a girl too.
Yeah.
And so this whole time they've been together, not once have they told each other how they feel. Neither one.
Yeah.
You guys are over here harping on Shane, saying like he's whatever, but Ilya also has not expressed himself to Shane, okay? They're just both so adamant to deny how they're truly feeling. So this scene was great because it's like really forcing them to like face their feelings. Like they both realize
Yeah.
like, I don't want to see him with her. I don't want to see him with
Mhm.
her. And Ilya, not too long ago, was talking about how much he loves girls and he loves to sleep with them. And he was even asking Shane, do you like girls? I like girls. I like sleeping with girls. Like, what is a guy to do when a guy tells him that? Like, what do you to do after that, right? So, of course, like in my eyes, that made Shane a little jealous and it pushed him towards Rose. And yes, I know, Shane dating Rose was more about him denying his true feelings for Ilya. But I still blame Ilya here.
Wow. You're putting that on Ilya? That's crazy.
Dude, 100%. Like, Ilya was bragging about the women that he's been with. Like, how are you supposed to express yourself to somebody when they're, like, being very open about being very open with other people? Like, I'm not going to tell you how I feel if you do that to me.
So I
See,
guess
I
I
didn't
interpreted
get
that moment
that.
differently. I felt like Ilya was
Yeah.
trying to feel him out on and also let him know all these women that I'm photographed hanging out with, they're just like flings to me. They don't really mean much to me. And he was trying to ask Shane like, do you like women? And like trying to lead the conversation into like do you also like men? Clearly he also likes men, but he's trying to like gently push him to realize what's going on between them. That's how I interpreted that scene.
But see,
I don't know. Ethan, what do you think?
well, okay,
See,
I'll
I
give you
didn't
my
even
other
interpret
thoughts,
it.
too.
Yeah, I didn't even interpret it that way. When the whole Rose situation happens with Shane, I saw it as a moment of him trying to first get an easy out of how he can get out of this mess with Ilya that they've created over years. And second, as an opportunity to try to force himself to choose women. And if he has this easy way of not even having to acknowledge that he also enjoys the company of men and prefers the company of men, then this is just an easy way that can put a tiny, like, wrap a nice bow on it. Like, I got this more of a sense of him denying his actual self than anything. That was my first and foremost takeaway here.
So, Steph, what you said, like, it was easily misinterpreted. Like, we interpreted it in two different ways.
Sure,
Unless you are going to straight up tell me that you want me and that's all you want, then it's going to be interpreted in different ways. One.
Yeah.
And then two, Ethan, like, yes, I get that. And I that's what I said. Like, you know, this is about Shane denying about who, you know, his true feelings, right? Like, I get that. I saw that right away. But we also have to understand that this guy didn't even know that he was into other men until he, like, ran into Ilya. He is struggling with how he feels, and he doesn't know how to feel. And you guys are giving him such a hard time for, like, trying to figure out his feelings about, hey, I have been into women my whole life, but maybe not. Like, that's not an easy journey to go on.
Well, I feel like he wasn't even trying to figure out his feelings towards men. I feel like he was only trying to suppress his feelings towards men.
Because it's easy for him, because that's what he's known his whole life. Like, that's hard to be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Even though my whole life I've thought I've been into women, I'm actually into men. Yeah, I'm going to really embrace this. Like,
I get it. I get it. That's a huge thing to accept about yourself.
Yeah.
I just don't like that Ilya is collateral damage here. I feel like he's a much nicer guy than, like, the persona he puts on.
Well, the whole green flag was more about the jealousy scene, making them, like, forcing them to finally see their feelings. So that was what I really liked about it. The red flag moment goes back to kind of what you mentioned, Steph, with the dad. Like, I felt the same way about his brother. So my red flag moment came in chapter 5. When Ilya's brother called him. I can't tell you how much this upset me. Like, I hate when people feel entitled to someone else's success. Like,
it's
his
so
brother
gross.
called him in the middle of the night to ask for $20,000 after Ilya had already gave him $10,000 not too long ago, and basically just expects Ilya to give him money at the drop of a hat. Like,
oh my god,
it was so annoying. And I hate how he brought up, like, well, I know how much your signing bonus was. Okay. And
gross.
He was like, it's not like that's that much to you. I know how much your signing bonus was.
Regardless, it's my fucking money.
Exactly.
Yeah, you didn't earn that.
It doesn't mean you're entitled to this money. And then after all of that, doesn't even say thank you. Like, dude, get out of here. Get out of here.
And on top of that, he knew that saying no would only get his dad to call him and say, you need to do this, okay?
Yeah.
Like, he's your brother, this is family, give him the money.
Yeah, I hate that.
Ew.
Yeah.
Also, like, how are you already blowing through $10,000 in weeks?
I know. I mean, I'm sure I could easily blow through that if I'm getting all books, but you know what?
Yeah, but, like, if you're in a situation where you need to ask for money, I would hope that you would be a little bit of a better steward of the money you get.
Right, I was just kidding,
Maybe we're not going on shopping sprees because you got some free money.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. So my green flag, during one of their many intimate moments in the first half of this book, yes, just the first half of this book, Ilya calls Shane Hollander all the time. All the time. But during this one particular intimate moment, he calls him Shane. And that was the first moment. To your point, Jen, neither of them have admitted their feelings. So yes, I will give you that. But this is the first moment that either one of them have been vulnerable to the other person. And it's kind of hinted that Ilya is trying to put feelers out there of what Shane is willing to accept as far as, you know, broaching their relationship. But this is the first moment where it's out there now. Right. Because that's a whole different thing. Calling someone, you know, by their first name, if you usually call them by their last.
Yeah.
during that kind of moment, that's big. That's huge.
Right.
So much so that it sends Shane on a tear.
Spiral.
He
Yes,
crashed
it
out
sends him
onto
on a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Literally crashes out. But you can tell that this is the moment where everything has changed.
Yeah.
And so it's so subtle too. Like it's just literally one word. And I thought that was really cool. And was proud of Ilya's character for doing that. That's big vulnerability, especially with everything that they have at stake.
Loved that he asked them to stay. That was like,
yeah, he did.
It was like the tuna melt plus the Shane moment plus the
and then you can stay.
I was like,
oh.
Yes, stay Shane.
Right? Because I mean, like, I think every person who has like a situationship, like when one starts catching a feeling, like they want to start spending more time with them. And they always, I'm sure they're like, please, like, I want to stay. I don't want to be kicked out as soon as we're done.
You want more than just the like wham bam.
Yeah. And so I thought this was really cute.
Thank you, ma'am.
This was a cute moment for them for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now my red flag, listen, I don't deign to understand how a relationship in this situation could work and what all they're up against. But honestly, like I said before, just the way this book starts out and the way Shane is describing Ilya, I was like, oh, this isn't healthy. Like what are you doing to each other? What are you doing to yourself? Because I did not expect hate. Like the way he was describing it was like actual hate for Ilya, and he assumes that Ilya feels the same way about him. I was like, oh, I don't know. Like this is a terrible way to start things. I don't yeah, just a smidge. But seeing it later on, it seems to be more of a playful kind of dislike rather than a strong hatred towards each other like it is in the prologue, which I appreciated because I was like, I don't like that. But you can tell as it progresses that they say they hate each other, but obviously we know like that's not true.
Yeah.
And it is more really playful banter on the ice,
There's a lot of hating. Actually goes into the quote that I picked for this, so I can't wait to share that.
Okay.
Well, that's a great segue because we're going into quotes next.
Yeah.
So do you want to do yours first or Steph? Either way.
I think mine is actually kind of along the same lines.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cheers.
Okay. So my favorite quote, it was actually like a couple of quotes from Ilya. I was just cracking up in that moment when Ilya was watching that interview on TV with Shane. So good. And like the comments he was making about the interview were just killing me. I thought it was so funny. So he was watching that interview where they're interviewing him at his 5,000 square foot cottage on the lake.
Love the cottage.
Like, that's not a cottage.
You guys, I live in less than 1,000 square feet. This is my main home. So we're talking out of touch, And so during the interview, Shane says, I just finished building this one a couple of years ago. My family's cottage, the one I spent summers at growing up, is just over there. I was still spending my summers there until this one was finished. And Ilya says, oh, so fucking sweet, Hollander, Ilya said, rolling his eyes. And then later, there was a shot of Shane practicing yoga. And Shane says, I got into yoga last year, and I think it's really helped me focus. And it's definitely increased my flexibility. Hollander's voice played over a lingering shot of him holding some ridiculous pose. Jesus Christ, you're so fucking boring. Back to Ethan's red flag where he calls out the like hateful banter between them. I think on Ilya's side, it's more playful, but on Shane's side, there's a little bit more actual truth to it, or like some underlying edge to it where he's trying to like deny himself and what's going on between them. I really do feel like Ilya is just like a playful asshole, and like he's honestly just like, basically throwing back what Shane's throwing at him. And this moment was just hilarious. He was watching and he was actually seeing, instead of flipping the channel, which he totally could have, he was watching Shane's little interview and his little cottage on the lake. and how he's into yoga because it helps him focus, because he's interested in knowing more about Shane, like more than just their hookups, you know. So I thought it was cute.
Okay, so mine actually is very similar to yours. It's like he's just so funny that like, okay, so mine came from chapter 6. There was a moment with Ilya, like I said, that made me laugh, honestly. It was just so cute in a funny way, and it perfectly like summed up just how they're feeling about each other so early on. And so this is a quote. It's a little long, but it's really funny. So it said, this is what Ilya was thinking. Ilya hated this guy. He hated this pretty boy face and his perfect goddamn English and his perfect goddamn French and his loving parents and his polite little manners and his $1 million smile. He hated how serious he was, how earnest. He was everything the league wanted from their stars. Ilya kissed his dumb mouth and swallowed his stupid little sighs and felt his annoying fingers in his hair. He pulled back so he could look at his horrible face with its ridiculous freckles. And it's just like, he is trying so hard to be mad at this guy he's so into, right? And it's just so funny. It just, I couldn't stop laughing when I read that. It's like swallowed his stupid little sighs and like looking at his horrible face.
Yeah.
I think it's so cute that he loves his freckles so much.
Yeah, freckles are cute.
I know, he's
love
got a
freckles.
thing for the freckles.
I know, I love them.
Okay, so my quote kind of just talks to their banter that they like to have on the ice. That kind of bleeds into other areas of their lives. But there was one moment in chapter 3 where they're facing off, and Shane is saying we're gonna win, and Ilya's like, well, you know, there's no I in team, and Shane is, there's an I in suck my dick.
That whole thing was hilarious because he just kept bringing up everything that had an I in it.
Yeah.
I was like, what a great quote to epitomize how they interact with each other. Like, that whole exchange was hilarious. I actually did laugh out loud on that one. I was like, ooh.
Like, see, but he actually means that.
This is exactly this is exactly what I'm glad finally came out of this book. Because like in the beginning, it was just like their inner thoughts of them every time they got together. And it's just like, I needed more from this book. I needed more plot. I needed more playfulness, right? And so I'm just glad that it picked up afterwards.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to do a novel like this and still have so many people enjoy it because the characters are in their heads so much.
Right.
We don't have any side characters really. Like we have some coming up towards the end of the section going into the next. Yeah, but other than that, we don't really have any. Yeah. And so for it to depend solely on these two main characters, like they're truly the main characters here. Yeah. And that's difficult. And I think we all felt that considering how we've been talking. Yeah. But I'm glad to see it kind of pick up here in the middle.
Me too.
Yeah. And that's true. The same was true, like you said, Jen, the same was true in Game Changer. Yeah. Like that whole dynamic. And so I'm looking forward to the other half. All right. Yeah. So we've talked about our quotes, green flags, red flags, and now we're going to talk about who is the MVP of the section to us and who needs to go into the penalty box. So, Steph, you want to start us off?
Sure. So my MVP this time around was Ilya. And honestly, personally, feel like he's been so sweet this whole time. Like, yes, he's like playfully bantering and being an asshole, but I feel like deep down, Ilya is not an asshole. It's just a persona he puts on. And I actually want to point out a moment in chapter 9 where it's not even an interaction with him and Shane. It's with his teammate that was briefly on his team for one season. His name was Price. And he was nervous about being on a plane one time when they were on their way to a game. Ilya let him listen to and watch a Fast and Furious movie on his iPad while Ilya just read the captions instead to help distract him and calm him down, calm his nerves. And I just thought that was so sweet because like even another teammate of his, what was his name? While Price was watching the movie and distracted, talked to Ilya and he was like, he's kind of a weirdo, right? And he was like, yeah, but whatever. Like, and he was befriending him. And even later on, towards the end of this first section, they're watching Shane and Ilya are watching a game where Price is playing, and he asked him about Price, and he was like, yeah, he was kind of weird, but like he's a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I just feel like Ilya is a nice guy, and I think he's just had to put up this wall and this caricature of himself because he had to do that to protect himself based on, the environment that he grew up in.
Yeah.
We see a glimpse of like how he regresses a little bit into himself when they're at the Sochi Olympics and he's interacting with his dad, and like we know also that his brother sucks. So yeah, I just love Ilya. So he was my MVP. And obviously we already talked about the tuna melt moment. It was probably like my favorite moment in this section. And then for my penalty box is Shane. Because honestly, like I feel like he's the one out of this dynamic that is holding them back. He's the one that is refusing to accept his feelings towards Ilya, to accept that he does feel attraction towards men. There's been a couple times where he's realized like, no one makes me feel the way that Ilya does. Yeah, I like women, but not that much. I kind of have to psych myself out to like get into like an intimate moment with women. But that's not the case with Ilya. All of these signs are pointing towards like, obviously you have feelings for Ilya. Just accept it. Obviously that would be hard. Like I don't want to discount that. I don't want to diminish that, especially being someone in the public eye. But, like, I just don't like seeing innocent people becoming collateral damage in situations like this, which I feel is what Ilya is going through right now. So yeah, penalty box for Shane.
Okay, so my MVP is actually Shane. So I think I have made myself pretty clear on this point.
Yeah.
In chapter 11, Shane is watching Ilya win the Stanley Cup after the Olympics were like such a disaster for Russia. And honestly, I just absolutely loved this moment and it made my heart swell. This is what Shane was thinking when all of this was happening. He was thinking Shane had been sick with jealousy, but had also been undeniably proud when he'd watched Ilya Rozanov lift the cup over his head and roar. There had been tears streaming down Rozanov's face as he hollered, and Shane had seen that this was more than the pride of being the best player on the best team in the NHL that year. Rozanov had proved something to somebody. Shane had been shocked to find tears in his own eyes as he watched the raw emotion explore out of Rozanov. And as we've seen in these chapters, like Shane is a completely competitive person. I loved that in this moment, he was just able to be happy for someone else and not be bitter about it. This is a huge moment for any hockey player ever, right? Yeah. And so for him to just like cry tears of joy for Ilya, like I thought it was a great moment. What do y'all think about
I
that?
agree.
He
especially
had one good moment.
Yeah, especially considering their rivalry.
Yes,
I know.
Many other moments, Stephanie.
That's debatable.
Definitely. That's what we're doing here, right? Okay, so my penalty box went to Ilya. And I think it was more because I've experienced this type of behavior before that really just rubbed me the wrong way. So
Okay.
in chapter 8 and in chapter 10, I didn't like how Ilya was such a jerk to Shane in these two chapters. Like it was, and before I go into specifics, like I loved all of the intimate Ilya moments. Like I loved the tuna melt moment. I love that he asked him to stay. Like I do think that you're right. He does hide this, like he has to put up this facade of being this asshole, I think because of where he grew up in Russia and of course because of his family. But there was just some moments that were a little uncalled for. And I think these were two of the moments that for me, it was uncalled for.
Okay.
He offered no explanation for the treatment either. And then just try to move on like nothing happened. Like I can just tell you from experience, receiving that kind of treatment and just like having constant whiplash from someone's emotions is just not fun. And it makes you start walking on eggshells after. So not a great place to be with anyone you have a relationship with, whether it's like a friendship or a romantic relationship or even just like a family relationship. Like it's not a great place to be at. So the first moment happened after the NHL awards and Shane won Rookie of the Year. Ilya ignored him all night, would barely talk to him, then suddenly pushed him into the wall to kiss him, and then just left. And that was it. Like no explanation was given. It was just such a jerk moment of him. Like that's it. And then like later he just tries to expect Shane to be okay with him again. Like not cool. And then the second time was during the Olympics in Russia. He completely ignored Shane. And then when Shane was concerned and tried to check on him, he was just being really rude and complete jerk. Like, it was just uncalled for. Like, you can't just treat people that way and then try to go back to being like, okay, cool. You're going to, you're going to get on your knees for me and you're going to do these things for me. And I'm just like, excuse me? You haven't even talked to me in months. Like, absolutely not. So just like a whiplash of emotions here. Like, he's trying to act like everything's cool, but yet you treated me like crap, just like however many months ago. I don't like dealing with people like that.
That's fair.
I hear what you're saying.
Well, because you said he was sweet the entire book. I'm like, or the entire section. I'm like, no, he was not.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I hear what you're saying. Ilya is my MVP.
Again, I go back to
On that note.
Ilya had some great moments. Like, I cannot take that away from Ilya.
Yeah.
Yes, and he had some stinker moments. Yes, you are absolutely correct. They're both at fault here. But this just goes to my first point that I made earlier of him taking that first chance at being vulnerable. Because one thing that he was thinking of to himself when he was in Russia was he's like, man, I can't wait to go back home. And then he starts thinking like, when did America start feeling like home to me?
Yeah.
Right.
And the idea, and then we can really see him wanting to go after his idea of what home is. And I think this was that first step in trying to achieve that, was just being even more intimate with Shane by calling him his first name when they were in bed. And that was just MVP material to me. Like that's a lot of bravery to, especially with how high the stakes are for both of them. I thought that was good.
Okay.
As for my penalty box, Shane is going in there for me in this section. We'll see if that switches up in the next half. But Shane needs a timeout. I feel like going to your point earlier, Jen, it was based on past experience. I feel like that's where some of my frustration with Shane comes in, is because of past experiences like that. He knowingly does not enjoy the company of women as he does with men, specifically Ilya. And yet he is starting this relationship with Rose, who is this celebrity that he met at like blind date kind of happenstance. And not blind date, was it? It was some
They met
event
each
that he
other.
went to. And
Yeah. They like ran into each other and just started talking.
Yeah.
Yes. And he knowingly does not enjoy women as much as men. And yet he's still starting this up. And I know, like, having been in a similar situation, not with a celebrity, but being in a similar situation, how hurtful that can be to both parties involved.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you know that's not the case, and I know it's hard, and I know that's everyone's own personal journey and coming out and stuff like that, but, like, that's where we start bringing into, like, moral, like, ethic conversations and like, that's just not a good look. It's tough. And so I just don't want him to make that mistake, and it was hard reading it. But I'm hopeful that it'll turn itself around in the second half and won't end poorly.
I did not like that he like literally went from being in Ilya's house to running into this woman and like starting a whole thing with her. Like, slow down and think about why you're doing that and try to sort out those feelings. Like, I get that it's frustrating and I also get that it's hard, but you're right. Like, you shouldn't be like, deal with those feelings on your own. Struggle with your feelings on your own. Don't use somebody else to try to struggle your feelings with when you know you don't want to be with her.
Or to try to cover up your feelings.
Okay, book friends, that was our first deep dive on Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reid. Let's keep the discussion going, though. We are Books Between Friends on all platforms. What did you guys think about Shane and Ilya? Do you guys think more on Stephanie and Ethan's side, that you guys that Ilya is the sweetheart here and Shane needs to be put in time out? Or do you kind of agree with me? We we want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for interacting with us on our socials. We look forward to chatting with you all about this book.
All right, you guys. So on our next episode, we are facing off with chapters 15 through the epilogue of Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reid. If you thought things were intense before, just wait. We'll see you on the ice. That's a wrap for Books Between Friends today. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next chapter.